It's National Pancake Day today. Fitzy, do you like pancakes?
I like pancakes.
Did you eat a pancake this morning?
I know Sunday I did because I had the big breakfast at McDonald's.
Oh, McDonald's. You like to splurge. I'm not a huge fan of sweets, but I do like restaurant pancakes. And speaking of restaurants, Industrial Safety has incorporated kitchen suppression system maintenance, inspection, and installs into their everyday service menu. There is a great need in Northwest Wisconsin for kitchen suppression service, as any restaurant or business that has a kitchen suppression system is required to have that system inspected every 6 months. Find out more information at industrialsafetystore.com. It's also National Share a Smile Day today. Aw.
Yeah, that's perfect.
That's awesome. And you will smile when you buy your new home through our friends at the Wisconsin Lakes team. You see that, Fitzy, what I did there?
Yeah, I did see that.
Yeah,
That was
very nice.
so
Thank you.
smooth.
Yeah, just flows right through. Anyone can say that they're an agent, but not everyone treats their clients as they would want to be treated. And that's what Aaron and Katie do. So give them a call today to see how they can make you smile, or just visit them at their website at lakesteamwi.com. And it's also World Compliment Day. What? And it says the World Compliment Day, it's the global initiative to create the most positive day in the world.
Oh,
Totally
that's
fits our
awesome.
show. World Compliment Day is celebrated every March 1st to spread joy through simple verbal affirmations of appreciation. So, Fitzy, who do you want to give a verbal affirmation of appreciation to?
That's it to you, man. Just
Nope.
for all that you do in the community.
I should have told you that I was going to bring that up, so then you could have time to think about it.
Yeah.
God, I love listening to that song from Chris Cruzy. I just absolutely do. Good morning, everybody. It's Positive Tuesday today, March 1st, 2022. Can't believe it's March already.
It is March 1st.
I know. For Barron County Sheriff Chris Fitzgerald, I'm Ben Dryden, and you're watching Positive Tuesday with Ben and Fitzy, presented by Professional Exteriors and Interiors. I'm even rocking their hat they had sent us. I love it. With nearly 20 years of experience, this locally owned and operated business has provided quality work in roofing, garages, siding, window installations, kitchen and bathroom remodeling, vinyl and hardwood flooring, and they can even build your house or business from the ground up, playa. Like Fitzy and I, Professional Exteriors and Interiors believes that it's the little things that make a big difference. So give them a call today. The number's right there on the screen. Fitzy, good morning. How are you?
I'm awesome.
Oh, wow. This is going to be a great show.
It is going to be a good show. There's not much going on. Warriors are going to state hockey.
Yes, I saw that your wife had posted that on Facebook, and so I get all of my news from your wife's Facebook page.
Right.
And I saw that, and I'm like, oh man, you must be happy, because last week you had talked about that. They had to win 2 games in order to get to state. So now they're going to state, right?
That's right.
And I think last week you said like the 16th. What?
No. Thursday.
So this Thursday, they play.
And they got the number 1 seed at state, so they get So we're the number 1 seed at state. So that's pretty big. That's a big deal.
That's a huge deal.
Yeah.
Are you going down there?
Yeah. Yep.
That was a stupid question. Sorry.
I might even leave today. No, I don't
Nice. So, and if they win, then
They play
Thursday.
Saturday.
Okay. And then that's it.
That we're state champs.
Do you think they're going to? And don't give me the yeah, of course they're going to. I'm saying state, man. Now you're playing, I'm assuming, different kinds of teams. Is this realistic that they could win this?
The team we play on Thursday, we've already beat once. We played them in Hayward in mid-January, and we beat them 4-1. Doesn't mean that they're better. But so are we. We're clicking. We're 15-0 against all Division II teams. So I think it'll be a tough game again. It was a tough game against Amory. Amory played very well. Hayward played well. We beat them both last week. I got to hang out with Mike Schaefer at the Hayward game. He came down.
Nice.
So we hung out, and he got to see real hockey, Rice Lake hockey. So no, I'm just kidding. So, and it's just fun to see for these high school kids. And obviously, many of them are on the Warrior football team that made it to state. So going down to Madison twice in the same year for a high school kid is pretty unheard of.
No kidding.
Even just going once during your 4 years is pretty special. Now some of these kids have gone for the Fensky kid, Cole Fensky. He's gone for baseball, football, and now hockey. So he's been to
What a
three
stud.
straight. Yeah, he is, and that's pretty good. Um,
Pretty good.
it's pretty special for these kids, and I'm very excited for them. As a parent, you only want the best for your kids, and
Yeah.
so there's a lot of support. The community will come down and support it. There'll be lots of fan buses opportunities, and so it just doesn't get any better than this. I mean,
No.
it truly doesn't get any better than this.
Out of curiosity, then, if they win on Thursday, do you stay down there?
Yes.
I was gonna say, because what's the
Yeah, and there's no use coming back from Madison. We'll enjoy Madison. I'll go to the Capitol, walk around. I'm sure Holly and Emma will shop a little. And,
sweet? You should stop in, and we'll do a remote show. Stop into the Capitol
Right.
and see. I don't know if they're still down there. Yeah, you actually should totally do that.
We'll just go knock on the governor's door and say, "Hey,
Yeah, no kidding. How come you're not going on the show? We could do live remote from the governor's office.
right. I can write it off as a business expense." No, that's just you. I don't get paid to do this.
Careful now. You don't want to get in
Oh.
trouble there. Someone's gonna make a complaint. No, well, that sounds a lot more exciting. I did not have a whole lot going on at all. So,
Yeah,
nothing,
no,
which is
it
nice.
was just a very
But that is
exciting
awesome. That is so cool. A reminder, our shirts. So it's March, and this is the last month you can order our shirts, our Positive Tuesday Ben and Fitzy show. There's t-shirts, long sleeve t-shirts, long sleeve sweatshirts, and hoodies. But the orders have to be in by April 1st. So
Okay,
just go to our
so
website.
30
It's
days.
plastered everywhere in there. All right. So we have a couple of press releases, and I wanted to ask you about that and really kind of not even really get into the press releases themselves. Or I'm sorry, not press, articles that we wrote regarding a couple of crime court stories in Barron County. And they're similar but different, but they were, tough stories, right? Tough all the way around, I'm sure, for law enforcement and the family. And then, for us to read that and then type it was tough. And I'm sure there are people who read these and go, ugh. But they had to do with kids. And, we've talked about it a lot, man, when it comes to kids. But I really want to get your thoughts about the signature bonds for these.
Of course.
Because I'm looking at that, right? Because, it's like sports. I'm a fan. So, and I'm a fan of the judicial system. And when I see those things, it's what? I don't know if I like our team doing that. Anyway, so I want to get to that. And, of course, our Facebook post, I want to go over some of those. We put that post up yesterday on our page asking about people's experiences or their favorite memories or best memories of positive interactions with law enforcement. And I want to read some of those on the show and talk about that, if that's all right with you.
Yep.
Yeah, but first, some follow-up. So last week, I had asked about victims and survivors, and then I had a follow-up regarding the sheriff in what we had talked about last week. So first, did you call someone and ask about the victims and survivors? When do we refer to them as victims and when as survivors? How does that work?
Sure. I talked to our friends at Embrace, and here's what Brittany told us at Embrace. We generally use the term survivor. However, we try to use the term that the individual prefers. So if they identify themselves as a victim, we use the word victim. Survivor is empowering in general, which we tend to use, but it's really up to the person. I think that's a really good point. Either one is acceptable, and neither is bad. So
if we don't know what that in victim or survivor, like when I do a crime and court story, it's stated in the criminal complaint victim. So I say victim. Right. I just don't know if, like, when I now refer to it, like we'll be referring to a couple of those in a little bit here. I'm going to keep referring to him as victim, but I don't know if that was what I meant. So when I'm talking about it later, do I say survivor? So if you don't know what their wishes are, it's kind of just okay to do either?
To say either. I mean, and she says it really depends on where the person's at in their healing process, which is, something you and I aren't going to know about. And that makes sense. I mean, that made a lot of sense when she told me that. So I think it's important that, we use terms that they're using. Yeah. And we're just cautious of that. And I think that's great. And I think that was a very good understanding of it. So, awesome. So thanks to them for, teaching us and letting us learn. And and working with us on that. So
Yeah, because that's something that we
either
don't
one
want
is
to. You don't want to get that one wrong,
right,
right? For a lot of
exactly.
reasons. So, well, thanks for following up on that. So last week, pardon me, I had voiced my displeasure a little bit regarding a Facebook post from the sheriff's office here in Washburn County. They put on Saturday night, and I saw it Sunday morning, and I posted it then. And I honestly just wasn't. I didn't particularly care for the fact that this was not sent out to all media, right? So, and I don't want to rehash it. That was last week, but I said that I would follow up. And actually, since I have my phone email notifications turned off, Sheriff Stewart actually responded to the email I sent the day before, asking if he was the one that posted it, and if not, was he aware of it? So he posted it, or he sent it to me right when we were doing our show, about halfway through, and said that he was that he didn't post it, but he was aware of it. So I asked to follow up: is there a policy where you send things like this out, that whomever is posting it, we got to make sure we send that to media, like not just DrydenWire, but all media and stuff like this? Is there a policy? And if there was, why wasn't that then sent? And if not, are you going to implement a new policy or address this going forward? So that was all that I had responded. That was a week ago, but I haven't heard back. I'm sorry, I did. He replied relatively quickly and just said he's going to look into that and get back to me. But that was a week ago. Haven't heard back yet. But when I do, I'll let you know. But that's the update.
And we don't have a policy on that either. There's no right or wrong
Right.
answer to that. I mean, it may not be to your liking, but
Right.
as the sheriff,
Yeah.
I don't know if I care.
Yep.
If you don't like it, and that's his right, and that's my right.
That's right.
But I don't have a policy that says, if we send something on Facebook, it has to go to the media.
Right.
Some departments don't have Facebook. Some departments only use media.
Yeah.
At one point we only had that Facebook list, or not. I'm sorry, the email list. And we moved to Facebook, and then we started trending that direction. And then you get input from different media outlets saying you can't depend on that because we don't have time to look at 72 sheriff departments Facebook page every day.
Yeah.
Or in your case, even the 7 counties you cover, you don't have time to read every one of our Facebook posts on all 7 counties. So but you look at your emails every day or several times a day. So
yeah, all the time.
that's just input we get. And so, there's no right or wrong answer to that question. And so, but that's input you get, and you learn from that. And next time, I'm sure it'll be different.
Yeah, that's just last Friday. Excuse me, Brent Walk. It's Friday afternoon. Polk County Sheriff Brent Walk called me, and I was kind of finishing up my day. It was like 3:00, and Fridays I like to try to finish a little bit early. And he said, "Hey,
come on, you were done at noon." His call.
3:00. We'll say 3:00. And he called and said, "Hey, we just put something up, or someone just put something up on our Polk County Sheriff's Department Facebook page." And so I went to it, and it was like 3 minutes earlier that I just posted it. And he goes, "I'm traveling. I believe there was a loss in his family, so he was traveling to a wake or a funeral." And he said, "So I don't have a chance to send out a press release. Would you mind grabbing that content and putting that out on DrydenWire?" And I'm like, "Well, totally." So I'm sure there isn't a policy per se, but that was just, I really appreciated that. And it was awesome for them too, because I don't know if you saw that. That was so cool. Oh, I should have written down the name of that business or that bank. They donated like over $50,000, and so they could have defibrillators, if I'm saying that right.
Yeah, it was
every one of their squads, and they didn't even have one, not one before, and now it's for every single vehicle.
Yeah, and we're buying those same things. I wish we had somebody to give us. It was 50. It was Branson Bank and Trust in Luck.
Yes.
Yeah, I got it up right here.
That's awesome.
And, it's fabulous to have donations like that, and that's when you say give compliments. It's National Compliment Day. I mean, local businesses do so much for the community, and they all need a big shout out. I mean, people advertise with us, and I get it, but then there's people that do donations, and I mean, you just look at what Professional Exteriors and Interiors. I mean, they give to lots of different things. I mean, everybody gives, and these businesses get hit, and I understand that because I'm on a lot of boards, and so shout out to all these businesses that continue to give. Even through the pandemic and all this, people continued to give, and that's what makes our communities so great.
Still seeing donations and fundraisers and people supporting that, and obviously on a I don't know if it'd be personal and professional, probably both. Just from a DrydenWire standpoint, if we didn't have our local businesses advertising with us, we wouldn't exist.
Right.
So, and through all of this, like we didn't lose one advertiser through the entire pandemic. We knew that some of them were really struggling, so we worked with them. And well, I've never brought it up because I don't want to make it seem like a look what we did.
Yeah.
But there were several of them that wanted to keep their spot on DrydenWire, and they just kind of couldn't afford it. So we worked with them. A couple of them we gave a month or two free. Other ones we kind of knocked down 50% because we wanted in our way that was helping them. If that makes sense. But yeah, we're small communities, and we just all have to work together to figure out how to make things work. So I want to get to a couple of articles here. I'm going to read the headline and just a little info about each one. Man charged with sex crimes against 2 children under 13, $10,000 signature bond ordered. The court ordered a $10,000 signature bond for Michael Dixon, who is 30, charged with multiple sex crimes against children under the age of 13. The other one was 20-year-old man charged with multiple sexual assaults. Court orders $10,000 signature bond, so same thing. The court ordered a $10,000 signature bond for 20-year-old Jacob Nording of Barron, Wisconsin, regarding multiple sexual assault charges, including sexual assault of a child and sexual assault of an intoxicated victim. So I decided, instead of kind of talking to you about each of those cases specifically, I just wanted your thoughts on the signature bond portion of it. Because outside looking in, and that's easy. I mean, it's again kind of like that fan to a sports team. It's easy to go, oh, I hate my quarterback, or whatever.
Right.
But when I don't like seeing that. I'm not saying it needs to be changed. Bonds are complicated, I think, sometimes, and certainly I'm not in the room. We don't know all the circumstances that went into it. The $10,000 isn't the part that bothered me at all. It's the signature bond.
Right.
I don't like seeing that. Maybe I'm wrong. And maybe it's tough luck. That's just the way it is. That's what they always get. So we're actually starting to follow this a lot more and adding the content in terms of the bonds. When you see that stuff from a law enforcement standpoint, and we're not like calling out judges here or anything, just when you see it, are you happy with signature bonds for these types of cases?
No, absolutely not. I mean,
oh, good. It's not just me.
Again, but that's what the state law says, and we need to change the state law. We're very frustrated with it, and I think the Milwaukee case where the guy was out on bond and crashed into those people is really the I don't know. Good things have to come out of bad things, and if we're going to do something, now's our chance, kind of thing. And then you get cases like this. But if they've never been convicted of a crime, bond only means, and I'm learning a lot about bonds from our judges because they follow state law. We want our judges to follow laws. That's how we want our
ideally
judges.
That would be, yeah, right.
Right. Yeah.
That'd be nice.
Have to do that. So bond means that you'll come back to court. So if you have no missed court dates, but I think safety of the public needs to be in there, and I think that's where we need to change that. I think we need to reach out to and we're meeting with our judges and our district attorney as a police chiefs very shortly in the month of March here to discuss this, decide how we can write something better to give it to Dave Armstrong and our legislators to see this needs to change. Bonds need to change. You need to give judges, DAs more leniency to make cash bonds. Can't be just because you came back to court. Because if you come to court, and courts in every county are open to the public, you can come every day to Barron County Court at 1:00 when people get bonds that are arrested. And there's 4 people on the jail roster. They're going to go to court in Barron County at 1:00 today. You can come sit in the courtroom and listen to the back and forth from our district attorney. Our district attorney may have, I don't know in these 2 cases, may have said, I want $50,000 cash. The public defender's office in this case may have said, I want $0 cash, right, and I want, a $25 signature bond. I don't know what, it could be 2 extremes. The judge has to say whatever the answer, and they argue back and forth.
Yep.
There's restrictions we can put on this. I don't know what the restrictions are. They may have, they have to stay home, that curfew. I don't know. You can put 1,000 restrictions on these bonds. They have to follow. If they violate, they go to court, and then they would probably get a cash bond the next time, because that's when the judge can say, okay, you didn't follow the rules. Now you have a missed court appearance or a violation of an order. So now you have to do something. So signature bonds are good in low crime cases. I don't know what the word I'm looking for, but yes.
Yeah,
so
I get it. All right. You know what? If it's all right, later today or sometime this week, well, before you head down to Madison, I want to call you, or maybe I'll send an email, and we'll kind of craft some questions if you could help me with that. And maybe what I'll do is I'll send out an email to all of our area legislators and get their views. Ask them all the same questions and get their views on all of this stuff. I think that'd be interesting to see where they are on that.
And the Milwaukee case is going to carry this right now, and we've got to use something like that, because I don't want it to be the Barron County case that makes national headlines. Neither do our judges. Neither
Right,
does the
right.
attorney. And so, but that's what it's going to come to if we're not careful. And it's my job to do that, and I'm working on that and trying to get that. I don't know that I'm going to be able to change it, but you never know. I might be able to, and I'm sure there's other sheriffs and police chiefs around that need to take this up, because this isn't the first time we've talked about it on the show. I know the general public it doesn't like this either. I don't know. I think you could have thrown in there, and I don't know what the rules are. I think we could have done something else.
Yeah.
Even some cash bond. But
Yeah.
if it was $2,000 cash, no one would be happy either.
You know who does sit in on all these? Oh, yeah, right. 100% agree. Is Washburn County. We brought it before. Washburn County clerk of court, county clerk of court,
Right.
Shannon Anderson. I saw her last week. I had to stop. Or I didn't have to, but I stopped in and saw my wife at work. Dropped off some donuts for people. You gotta grease them with the donuts. Keeping good graces with the ladies on the second floor. Anyway, but I saw her and I asked her again if she'd wanted to come on. So hopefully she'll be coming on sometime in April, because she's the one and that team, they sit in on all of these things.
Right.
And they do hear all of those. And obviously, like you, we can't really talk about a specific this, but kind of get some more insight, because I really want to understand bonds more. And like you, I'm learning more and more. But I still don't feel like I really understand it.
Right.
So
I have
hopefully
a piece of paper in my folder. You talk while I look for something, because I have it.
Okay. Well, or,
Law. Well, I mean, I got it from the judge, the actual law. Bail
Oh.
bond. Here it is.
Okay.
969.001. I got this right from judge. Bail means monetary conditions for release. Bail may be imposed at or after the initial appearance, which is what somebody has when they get arrested, only after finding by the court that there's a reasonable basis to believe that bail is necessary to assure appearance in court. That's what it says, In determining whether any conditions of release are appropriate, the judge shall first consider the likelihood of the defendant appearing for trial if released on his own recognizance. So
that's it. So the only law is actually just that. So the severity isn't in there.
The defendant arrested for the criminal. No.
That's interesting.
No. The conditions are, for conditions of release other than monetary conditions may be imposed for the purpose of protecting members of the community from serious bodily harm or prevention of intimidating a witness.
Okay.
That is conditions of release. So, whether that's curfew or no contact with kids or things like that. And I know those conditions are on there. I don't know about curfew, but I know that's our district attorney wouldn't, no contact with anybody under the age of 18 or whatever. Now, if they violate that, in my opinion, if they violate that, if one of these two guys violates, they should have to pay $10,000 to get out. And they may have to. Now, we also don't keep them bonds, which is a different story for a different day. But but yes, I have the definition in my hand, because that's what I'm working on and trying to get the right, I think 10 words probably changes that to benefit us and to protect the public a little bit.
I see.
I don't think you need to change it. It doesn't have to be a big discussion. I think it's an easy change in my mind, but maybe it's not. I'm not a legislator. I don't know.
Well, we're gonna find out. I think that'll be interesting. I'll make sure I get that stuff sent out to our area legislators sometime this week. Give them a couple of days. So I should. I'll plan on right now. I'm gonna make a commitment right now, which I'm terrible at follow through on. When I say I'm gonna do something, I always do it, but I usually wait to the last second. So in this case, I'm gonna have to get ahead of it. But I will have this up as a feature story next Monday. So so 6 days from now, I'll have this up. I'll have it sent out.
this definition of bail.
Yeah, that'd be helpful. And one more quick thing on this regarding these things. I was talking to the Turtle Lake chief last week because I think this is the second week in a row that they've had. It was about these things, and it was their case. And I asked the chief what he would kind of attribute this to because I don't know if you've been paying attention lately. Like we're publishing a ton of these, as in we're seeing them. We request a clinical complaint and we write stories. I'm seeing more of these now than I've ever seen in 6.5 years of doing this. And I asked him, well, what would you attribute this to? And we had a good conversation there. But I wanted to ask you that same question. Have you seen an uptick, I guess, as it were, of typically it's going to be a male. That's what we're seeing, an adult male, and to a minor child, and typically that is a female. We're seeing a lot more of these. It could just be random. Are you seeing more of these? And if so, what would you attribute that to?
Well, we meet with our detectives every Monday morning. We have a detective meeting, talk about what's going on. This hasn't come across those conversations. Not that we haven't had maybe a sexual assault here or there, but not to the degree of this. Neither of those cases were ours. They were municipality cases. So
in Barron County, you're not necessarily. This isn't all of a sudden, holy cow, like meth is just going crazy, or it's. I mean, it's a thing, yeah, and certainly, but in fairness, right? So I cover 6 counties, so the stories that we've had have been from multiple counties, but I think we've had like 6 or 7 in the last month, and that's insane.
Yeah, and I don't know why. I don't know. I'm not. Is it because I'm not paying attention to it? But I would pay attention to something like that.
Right.
Right. Are we focused on meth and we're missing this? And people always bring up human trafficking. Is human trafficking in Barron County? Well, I think it is, not to the degree of a 12-year-old girl trafficking on the corner of, the stoplights in Barron. But I think the fact of something like this is almost considered somewhat of a human trafficking. They're using pictures, they're using other things, they're trading pictures of kids for meth, whatever it is. I think that's what we see when we come to human trafficking. So it's based on a definition of what you think human trafficking is.
Sure.
And so, yeah, I think it's there, but we've got to protect our kids. That's why I work so hard on meth, because I think we can also protect our kids. We're protecting them from meth, but we're also protecting them from the abuse that comes from meth, the malnutrition that comes from meth, a lot of things that come from meth, the use of taking pictures of them to sell them to get meth to people like, I know they're innocent until proven guilty, but we don't arrest many people unless we're pretty sure.
Yeah. And Amanda just brought something up, and that's perfect because that's actually what the chief and I had talked about. Is it better technology to catch the pornography online or children being taught not to keep these types of secrets and seeking adult assistance? So 2 things in that. One, I'd said that it's typically going to be an adult male, at least that's what we've been seeing. And typically it's going to be a minor and female. And in most of these situations, and we don't put this stuff in the story, and I don't want to get into the specifics of that. I mean, it's public record if people wanted to request it themselves. But it's usually like a stepdad or a boyfriend or someone that they know and that they trust. That's the part that freaks me out. And the other part about that pornography, that's what Chief and I were talking about, is perhaps because of just the ease of it now. 30 years ago, I don't know, or whenever it was, there was no internet, or 30 years ago, right? No internet. It was like Playboys or something. And now you can just find like the most disgusting things in the world just by putting into Google. Right. And over time, it's, I wouldn't say it's like a gateway to something, right? I mean, if you go and you look at online pornography, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to act on those things that you see or get progressively worse. I don't know if that's the right word. But usually when you find these people, and it started from when they do get to that point and they're arrested, it does, when you peel it back, it did start there. So do you think that just to the access to online pornography, I mean, you can just go and it's like, hey, you 18? Sure. I mean, and this has been, and since it isn't new, this is like what people have been grown up with. A lot of these people are 30s and 40s. They just grew up with having this all the time. And I wonder if that's a contributing factor.
Well, 100%. I mean, that it is a contributing factor. If you look what Chief Wolf did now with Cumberland, formerly Rice Lake,
Yep.
in getting those kids that were coming at us, and that's why mentors that the kinship programs that Amanda runs and things like that are so important. The Boys and Girls Club are so important to have rapport with these kids. School liaison officers, we talked about them before. How important it is to have a relationship where a kid says, "I feel comfortable going to tell that, hey, some guy approached me online last night." Those are the relationships we need to create 100%. That's what I live for. That's what our department does every day. I'd like to start, we say we do all these PR things. I want to really have a community engagement team here in the department. That's probably a new
That's
goal.
you and I.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. Well, I mean, to some degree it is.
We could
I mean,
expand, I guess. Fine.
yeah, but I want to put my officers out there. We're looking at some new coffee in the cop ideas. We're putting that plan together.
Cool.
We talked about a little bit about that, but I really want to. Community engagement team is probably more important than enforcing traffic violations to some degree. That community engagement, so we can get out there, make these things, and we want to have these resources and people to tell us things. I want to make sure our services are accessible to every person all the time, because I want you, if you want to report a crime, you should be able to report that crime as easy. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's frustrating. I get it. Sometimes there's nothing we can do because it's really not a crime that fits the ABC of the crime. And so, yeah, I think that's very, very important. And access is very hard for kids. So we've got to make sure our community engagement team isn't standing on the corner. It's, being online, having a better online presence, having,
Yeah.
reach out. So,
Do the kids? So you go when you speak to kids in classrooms and schools. Do you have not just here's my sheriff's card? I'm sure you have like business cards or something. Do you have one that every single kid in Barron County, every single school has a card that they can put in their backpacks or Trapper Keeper? Well, I don't know if those things are a thing anymore. Are Trapper Keepers still a thing?
no, they're not.
Dang, I love those things. I was so jealous because everyone else had one and my family couldn't afford one. My parents, I tell you. But something where it's the safe place, right? Law enforcement, and maybe it's a different phone line or an email or something where, worst case scenario, they know I can go and I can either call, I could text, I could email in complete anonymity. Or is that you really can't do that because these are kids and that's for a different department? That's not law enforcement here.
No, we got all kinds of tip lines through Facebook, our cell phones, our school cops. I mean, really, we put that back in our school cops' hands,
Sure.
and that's really their job, is to make sure they're accessible to these kids. And so, yeah, I think those options are out there.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah, we used to put, when I was at the Rice Lake PD, I created a tip line, and now we have a tip line here, 537 meth. You can Facebook us. And somebody used that after last week's show. Someone used our tip line, and so that's great. And they got a tip, and I gave that to our drug unit, and we'll figure that out. And our human services and all that, everybody was involved. So, but yeah, so I think we're accessible enough. At least I hope we are. But I think we can always do a better job of being out there more, and that's why I think it's time for us to start a community engagement team and put that together, and not just me being out there, our patrol deputies being out there, and because they're the people on the street.
Yeah.
So
and by the way, Trapper Keeper is haha. You know what? I think I'm just going to go and buy a Trapper Keeper now, even though I don't need one, just so I can say I've actually finally owned one.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Yeah, so actually, we do need to start talking about meth, I think, a little bit more.
Right.
I know it seems like we kind of go in spurts when it comes to meth, just because we can't talk about that every single show. But I think maybe we should take like 10 minutes and just have a different perspective or something like on each show, 5 or 10 minutes, to talk about meth, and not just meth and where we are, but also, we can go through some of those numbers which we never got to, your 2021 report, and kind of look at that. And then also, what can we do as community members? And maybe have some guests on that can talk about it, because I know you had said in the past that meth isn't being, not grown. What is it, made?
Right.
You make meth. That's not being made in Barron County. I think you even said, and I don't think it was hyperbole, you said 100% of it does not come from Barron County. Or I should say 0% is made in Barron County or in Washburn or in Polk.
Right.
It's all, I think you said, coming across the border, right?
100%.
Yeah, so meth, pretty much meth and drugs, but right now we'll just talk about meth, or in that case, and again we'll have to get into this later. But essentially, what you're saying is that the border, the southern border, every state is a border state when it comes to meth.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, and meth does have its ups and downs with the seasons, and I think when it gets warmer, I think more people will get out. I think we'll find more informants and work with that, and so it ebbs and flows also. I mean, it flows just like any other crime. I mean, now that the roads are better and the sun is out, speed will go up, and then through speeding we'll have more traffic enforcement and we'll find some more meth. I mean, we did another traffic thing in Turtle Lake on Thursday last week, and we got some meth. So. Nice. Not as many as we got last time, but we've got some more meth. And so we need to work on that issue. But yeah, it's always something we have to talk about.
Yeah, we should make a trip to the southern border.
There you go. I'm in.
All right, cool. All right, so I want to get, what's that?
I'd like this, us two down there. Yeah,
Ben and Fitzy show live from the southern border. So I want to get to this last thing here is. And I don't have them up, but I got it on my phone. Hopefully you have it up. Good. So yesterday I put up a post that on our Facebook page. The question was, what is your favorite memory about a positive interaction you've had with law enforcement? And, we didn't really get any comments or anything for like an hour or two. And I'm like, I don't know. I thought we get some good stories. But I checked it later on and again this morning. And, man, they're just fantastic stories. And if you have it up, is there a few that you would like to read? Again, this is on our Facebook page, but... few of them.
What I felt interesting about them all is when they were all over the place, not just Barron County or Washburn County, they were all over. And a lot of them were not just, they didn't give me a ticket. I mean, there was a few of those, but it was just some of the little things that make a big difference. I mean, kind of funny, but that's really what it is. I mean, whether it was shooting basketballs or, when we just turned our lights on for the kids and we drove around and some really bad ones, when there was something bad happens and our officers, spend some time with them and we continue to push that. So,
well, I remember, I don't really typically commit crimes. So I haven't really had a lot of interaction with law enforcement. And certainly not, directly. I haven't been pulled over in like 2 decades. I don't think I've ever had the police out at my house or where I've ever lived for anything. But I saw the first time the kind of this, what do you call it, the brotherhood of law enforcement. That was when Dad had his heart attack and Dave Wilson, saved his life. Now, Dave, Shell Lake Police Chief, he wasn't on duty at the time. He's helping Dad do something out in the yard. So he'd been retired for about a year. But it was when I went to the Shell Lake Hospital and the helicopter's there. It was like 45 minutes before I got in the helicopter. He was still in the hospital. But that's when I saw all the law enforcement officers and deputies, like Nick Helstern, who was the chief deputy at the time. He was off duty, but he heard it. I don't know. You guys got radios. You got something that you're always in the know of what's happening. And it didn't take very long for Terry Dryden is at the hospital, heart attack, going to get flown somewhere. But it was all of the support, the people that came that morning at the hospital just to be. I get emotional so easy. But just being there with us, all the text messages from sheriffs and chiefs and other cops from in our area and around Wisconsin over that next 24 to 48 hours, that was huge. And I know that wasn't like a direct thing, law enforcement, but it was a huge impact on me and my family to see that. So that was awesome. That it's one of my favorite memories. And thankfully, Dad, lived.
Right.
But that was huge.
What I like about it is you're a supporter, but even there's people on the edge, of do I really like cops or are they really bad? And then you have that positive interaction and you make that pendulum swing so far. They become lovers of law enforcement because they realize we're just people and we talk to them and we don't just write tickets and arrest people and we're not just randomly saying, you know what, we should go out and shoot somebody today. I mean, that's not what we do on the morning briefing, but people think that. There's some people out there that think that. And, I know we're using extremes and we'll probably be on CNN in the morning, but Exactly. But I mean, it's just that's what it's about. When we
Yeah.
can make that pendulum swing,
Yeah, that was
I mean,
huge. I mean, if I wasn't, I mean, obviously everyone in my family except for my mom and I have been in law enforcement. So I've never been in law enforcement. I've been around it since I could, basically since I've learned how to walk. I have been around law enforcement. But that, again, that had a huge impact on me. And not only, by the way, I shouldn't say that. Well, screw it. It's not too late to stop, Ben. It's not too late to stop. But it's also, to be honest, they're the people who didn't say anything. Oh, and my dad, you know. No texts, no calls, no anything. You don't have to guess. I won't say any names. I'll give you three guesses, but you're only going to need one. But there's another one with Chief Deputy Steve Pank, the Washington County Chief Deputy now, but he was the captain at the Spooner Police Department when my father-in-law passed away, my wife's dad. And he had a huge impact on my mother-in-law. His kindness, his caringness, stayed with them probably longer than, it's like, okay, I'm finished here, but stayed with her. He had sent a text to me or a phone call. And that was huge to me as well, because like Steve Pank can just do no wrong in my opinion. Like if anybody came up to me now and said, boy, I don't like that Steve Pank, I'd be like, stop right there, because that dude's legit. But it had a big impact on me. And I think that's what I like seeing about all those stories. That it has to change your perspective about law enforcement a little bit, right? It's got to swing the proverbial pendulum to the positive side when it's just one kindness or one act of kindness from law enforcement. It has such a huge impact, like for years, because that could be your last interaction with law enforcement for 20 years. So your opinion of law enforcement could be based on this 1 5-minute thing.
and that's what we teach our dispatchers and our patrol deputies. The one time you call and need the police, it may not seem like the major crime to us, but there's Lori. She was one of our lead dispatchers for years. But yeah, but they might be the only time you call and need something. It might not seem like a big deal because we've handled 10 other calls today, and this is the bottom. This is the 10th worst call,
Yeah.
but it's the biggest call to that person. And so we have to keep that compassion, which is hard to do after you just went to a fatality accident and now you're at a trespassing or a barking dog or whatever it is, and you're like, I was just at a fatality and told somebody their kid died, and now you really want me to worry about your neighbor's dog coming on your property? But it's a big deal, and so we've got to flip that switch really quick, and it's tough. And the other part I like is when we can follow up, and we don't get to follow up a lot. And I think that's important, that we need to do a little bit more, but the time in the day and the call volume doesn't allow us to say, we should go check on that person that we were at yesterday or last week. And some of our officers are able to do that. And I saw a couple of those where officer followed up with them, not one of my officers, but wherever they are in the world, followed up with them. And I think that's really cool. It's just time of the day doesn't allow that. But
I get it.
it's
Bridget has a great one there. I got pulled over speeding. My kids were scared and crying. The officer talked to the kids. Oh, and gave them stickers. Left the kid. Oh, see, again, it's just, I don't know, but that, I don't know. Maybe, tell everyone that is listening, because obviously you've been in law enforcement, 25 years. The difference between what the expectation is of a law enforcement in terms of these relationships, these stories that Bridget had just said. Has that changed at all in the 25 years that you've been sheriff? Is it too much that we're putting on law enforcement officers now to do that, where maybe 25 years ago it was more of the, here's your ticket, going away? And actually nothing about tickets, but in terms of how you kind of interact with the public.
Oh, well, yeah, I think there's an expectation now, and I think that's where call volume doesn't allow to match that expectation level sometimes, and I think so. Sometimes I think we get beat up for that. Like, I expected you to spend more time with me. Well, I got to get to the next call, and you have plenty of people at your house, and I'm sorry we had to tell you someone in your house died, but we've got to go to the next thing. There's only 3 of us on duty, and somebody else needs us. I would love to sit here and spend some time with you, and we get beat up for that sometimes. And so the expectation isn't there. Should we call more people in sometimes? Yeah, maybe. But then you might complain about the overtime. And so that is the level. That's your job as sheriff. That's the level we got to make a decision on every day of the week of how we're going to do this and what we're going to spend and how much overtime we're going to allow and things like that. So yes, I think the expectation is, but I also have an expectation on my guys and gals that they do some of that, because it's way more important sometimes than, the traffic enforcement or whatever it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Here's another one that was from Kevin. I walked down the aisle with Sheriff Finch for high school graduation. She wasn't sheriff at the time. Not sure if that counts. It totally counts.
Because
Yeah. Yeah. Tracy's awesome. She's legit. Oh, and it looks like Amanda has. I didn't read this yet, so hopefully it was appropriate. When I was in high school, Chris was our liaison officer. No, Quinlan
I
has
love being
Dylan,
a school
and he's
cop.
amazing too. For me, it's been fun to watch Chris go from school. Yeah, Fitzy's all grown up now.
But I, truly, being a school cop is uh, is the right step. Everybody should be a school cop. And some departments rotate them. I don't rotate them because I believe in building relationships
Yeah,
with them.
right. I think that'd be good.
But naturally, some of our promotions, for me, I mean, I think that was a great stepping stone for me. You learn a lot more. You're kind of a chief of a little city. So whether you have the rank or not, I was in charge of the Rice Lake School District or the Cumberland School District, and I took care of the safety things and worked with that administrator. And you really develop relationships, and that's what it's about now. We talk a lot more about community engagement than we ever have in law enforcement, so that's changed over 25 years. It may be to the extreme, and some sheriffs don't like what I do, and I don't like what some sheriffs do, and vice versa. I mean, because I go out and do certain things, and I put things on Facebook, and I have big followers, and and some people I don't want to do
In
that.
the show, right? We do a weekly show, and
Right.
Yeah.
And some people say, "Why do you do that?" I'm like, "Why do you put yourself out there? Because it does come back to bite you sometimes." I mean, but why? But why? Because this is what it's about. This is real life. We've never sugarcoated anything in this show,
And we probably should have. Just about every show, I go back when we watch it at Tuesday night, so Drew should watch first time, and I get to go. And nope, shouldn't have said that. Nope, I shouldn't have said. Nope, Fitzy should not have said that.
I'm never talking about dolphins ever again.
I just want to quickly read because we're up against our time, but here's just a few of those, a couple comments. This one was from Patrick. I've been arrested 50 plus times. The officers were always nice and professional.
But that's
I love it.
Too. I mean, you have to respect them. Our jailers do a heck of a job of doing that. Everybody in there is in there for doing something bad. There's still people too. Our jailers do an unbelievable job of that.
Yeah. Here's another one. A friend was going through this is from Beth, a horrific time. Her home was a mess, broken doors, windows. The inside looked like a bomb exploded all through no fault of her own. The two female officers in Chautauqua did everything they possibly could to help her in any way. For weeks and months, they continued to check on her. I so appreciate them. I was kind of going back to your following up. Again, that's a huge impact. And that wasn't even for her. That was a friend of hers. Right? Another one says, my dad recently passed away, and on the day of his funeral, a state trooper who was a family friend got some local cops together, and they stopped traffic for my dad's procession. Oh, that's great. You're not listening. Okay.
I'm reading.
That's okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Oh, Mike Schaefer, I tell you. No, I thought I said we're... Yeah, we already talked about you, Mike. You have to watch it later. Tia, there's that's my niece. Tia, positive impact on law enforcement. David Wilson supports small businesses and chats with Dad. Matt, my brother. And when he stops by the ice cream stand and orders butterscotch shake and a hot dog, even in uniform. See, that was, I don't know.
Right. There's nothing you can. I mean, I got to eat. I eat on duty all the time.
No kidding. Are there any other ones that were in there that you wanted to talk about or bring up? There's so many great stories in here. If anyone hasn't had a chance, it's on our Facebook page from yesterday. But it was really, really good.
No, I was going to say something. I can't remember what it is, but it doesn't matter. I mean, it's just fun to see the support that we get. It's just what we do. We're part of your community too, and we're just regular people. We don't do everything perfect, but we sure try to do what we can with the resources that we have, and together we can make a big difference. And, that's what's so fun about it. So
I agree. All right, so now you've had time to think about it. Remember, it's where is it? World Compliment Day. So spread joy through simple verbal affirmations of appreciation. So give me one more before you just like haphazardly it said, "Oh, you man." How about something positive? Give somebody a compliment. Anyone that you want to give a compliment to.
I want to thank all the people that coach. We're going to state hockey, and I think coaches, they don't get paid a lot of money, whether you're a high school coach, a youth coach, part of the youth hockey program. Our coaches do an unbelievable job. All of our youth coaches out there, they all need to be complimented. We as parents aren't very nice to our coaches sometimes. We always think we can do a better job. So, and they, brush that off their shoulders and keep coaching our kids. Yeah. And, there was a big fight at the White Bear Lake hockey game I saw. Just in Minnesota where parents and kids started fighting. I mean, it's dumb. It's ridiculous. But the passion of sports get into it. And, people don't like it. And we've got to do a better job.
Yeah.
We all do. And, but I just want to thank all of our coaches out there, whether you're a high school coach, a girls basketball, boys basketball season, playoffs start. I mean, all of our coaches do a good job. Yeah. Referees. My brother said referees. They suck.
Yeah. Coaches, yay. Referees, no. My friend Jacob Eckern, he went to Shell Lake, and I think he's a principal now in southern Wisconsin at some school. He wore it like during warm-ups of a basketball game or something, and it was a T-shirt, and it just said, "Hey, ref," and then it was an eye chart. I'm like, I don't know if we should be wearing that before the game starts. We're not going to get a lot of calls going our way.
Right.
Speaking of, so coming up this week, Saturday night or Saturday is UNC Duke game.
Huge Duke fan.
You are?
A huge.
Okay, so I'm gonna have to look at you to make sure you're not being sarcastic.
No,
because they've always been my favorite team, largely because of Coach K, and I just love how that program runs. And it's his last year, but I just wanted to share this. I was watching one of the Duke games last week, and it said the most expensive ticket for this game, and it was before Syracuse. I don't remember who they're playing, but it was in Duke, which is North Carolina, at home. The most expensive ticket was $2,000. That's not the average ticket, but the most expensive. And then they showed a graph for next Saturday's UNC Duke rivalry and whatever. The most expensive ticket, $80,000.
Yeah, Coach K's last game.
Can you imagine being in a financial position in your life where you could spend $80,000 on a ticket to a game? Like, what do you do for a living?
Game?
What?
Yeah. To a 2-hour basketball game.
$80,000. Holy cow! Yeah, and then the State of Union is on tonight. Are you watching?
No.
I'm
not watching the State of Union.
Really? We don't want to do a live blog? Our text back and forth?
I do not.
I do not.
Better things to do in the world.
Yeah. Okay. What do you have coming up? Obviously, you got Warriors this week. Anything else?
That's it. All we're doing is Warriors, and then I don't know what we're going to talk about after hockey's done. So.
Yeah. Okay. So, what's new and positive in your life? Nothing. Everything's the worst.
I'm sure it'll be year-round hockey. So I'll be okay.
All right, man. Hey, thanks so much.
All right, thanks.
You've been watching Positive Tuesday with Ben and Fitzy, presented by Professional Exteriors and Interiors. Like Fitzy and I, Professional Exteriors and Interiors believes that it's the little things that make a big difference. With nearly 20 years of experience, this locally owned and operated business provides quality work both on the outside and on the inside of your home or business. For more information, give Brian a call today, 715-520-2271. For Barron County Sheriff Chris Fitzgerald, I'm Ben Dryden saying thank you for all of the positive words and all the comments. It was another great show, but that's largely driven by, I'm not going to say Fitzy. It's largely driven by all of you that watch and comment. So thank you so very much. We'll see you right back here next week. Until then, remember, it's the little things that make a big difference. Thanks for watching, and have a blessed day.